We're live. Hey folks, Alan Saunders, Mike Vukovcan here at the Walnut Grill in Settlers Ridge, Robinson Township, here to talk a little bit about Pitt. We both cover for Pittsburgh Sports Now. We'll talk a little Pirates. We'll probably talk a little Penguins.
First of all, I want to ask, how was Disney?
Disney was great. 4 days of vacation in this industry is a rarity, so I take advantage of that whenever I can get it. But so I appreciate that, and no, we had a good time.
Good.
Refreshed, back at it. Glad to be here. This is fun. First time being here. Beautiful setup we've got here in Robinson Township. It's where we had our first meet and greet for Pittsburgh Sports Now. A great location here, just off the Parkway West, and excited to talk some sports. Got a lot going on right now. Feels like every day there's a hot take du jour this time of year in the Pittsburgh sports media. We've got a full plate.
Yeah, this is my favorite time, just because you have hoops going, the real hoops going on. You have hockey playoffs going, baseball starting, NFL draft talk. I actually rather talk draft talk than training camp and all the rest of that stuff. And college recruiting and everything. It's year round, so we got a full plate here. But big things, couple things happened this week with Pitt hoops, and one didn't really surprise me. One surprised me a little bit, and that's a couple players transferred. Malik Ellison, Cam Davis. I talked to him a couple weeks ago, Cam, and he was under the impression he was going to be here. And obviously something between then and now changed. But Malik Ellison didn't surprise you at all.
No, I was actually not at all surprised by Malik Ellison leaving Pitt. He was the last player after Kevin Stallings was fired and when Jeff Capel was hired to announce that he was going to come back to Pitt. And that's because he was waiting for an NCAA waiver to see if he could get out of having to sit out a year if he did transfer. I don't think Ellison's game was a very good fit for what Jeff Capel was looking to do. And I think you saw his game struggle. I wrote in the story when he left that his numbers were down last year at Pitt, even on a percentage basis, than from what he was doing at St. John's. His shooting percentage was down. His three-point shooting percentage was down. Fewer assists. And I just think he was built for Kevin Stallings style offense, where it's a lot of sets, it's a lot of slower possessions. Jeff Capel wants to get out and run. That's not really Ellison's game. And he was played out of position a lot. He was playing the 5 here at times. He's clearly a wing, but he's clearly not going to be one of Pitt's better wings going forward. So it doesn't make a lot of sense for either party, really, for him to be around much longer.
As far as Cam Davis goes, I know Pitt needs scholarships and everything, but just the human side of it, I mentioned to you a little bit ago, it was tough kind of talking to him. He was a kid that clearly wanted to be here, didn't want to leave. Things don't always work out that way, but you could tell it in his voice. He's a good kid. Whatever program picks him up, he's one of those guys that coaches and media, whatever, refer to as character players. He might not be a guy that's going to fill the stat sheet, but he's a good guy. He's a good, solid guy to have around the team. And I'm sure, although he wanted the open scholarship, I'm sure that wasn't an easy decision for Jeff Capel.
No, I don't think it could be, just because, like you're saying, Cam Davis is such a good kid. He's a very hard worker, seems very coachable, seems like the kind of guy that, in practice is doing everything that he's being asked of most of the time. And I think those are the kind of players, in general, that you're looking to recruit. But I think, the one thing that kind of stands out to me is Jeff Capel's had a lot of success in recruiting guards. I mean, you look at the 3 players he brought in last year, all guards. He's got 2 guards in Gerald Drumgoole and Champagne that are guards. So, I mean, realistically, where was Cam Davis going to find minutes next year? And so I think even if Cam thought he wanted to stay, and I think he did, I think if you look at it realistically, you only get 4 years of this. And I didn't see a very big opportunity for him on the court next season at Pitt. And I think, like you said, I think that he'll be a player that some teams will love to have, because he does do all those things that we're talking about that makes him such a good teammate, so mature, such a really good kid. And, a shame things didn't work out. But, best of luck to Kim. And I think Pitt will be okay with these 2 losses. And to be honest, it wouldn't terribly surprise me if you still have 1 or 2 more before the end of this offseason. Yeah,
right now they have, if I'm right, they have 4 openings, right? And it's likely
7 open scholarships, 3 commitments in the 2 guards and the forward Kareem Koulibaly from Scotland Performance Institute on the other side of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and it's most people believe that Samson George is in a similar situation to Cam Davis. Nothing's been announced yet. We're just speculating. I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but all signs, there just doesn't appear to be a path. He didn't get playing time this year, whereas Davis got a few minutes here and there. George didn't get on the court, so I don't see the logic of him wanting to stay. So in likelihood, Jeff Capel has 5 opportunities to add players. Now, there's a train of thought on how he's going to use those. Where do you?
Yeah, this is actually one of the questions that we got when I put out here. Is like, how do you expect Phil? This is from H2P412 on Twitter. Says, how do you expect Pitt to fill their roster for next season? How many high school seniors? How many transfers? Right now, they've got 3 high school seniors coming in. It wouldn't surprise me if we see several players that fall into the junior college, traditional transfer, graduate transfer categories. 3, maybe even 4 of that type of player, just because I think that's where the most impactful talent that's available is going to lie.
Right.
And if you go down and you look through the Rivals top 150 or the 24/7 top 150 of the recruiting class,
there's not a lot left.
They're taken. I mean, there's stuff there. I mean, I just saw a top guard from Virginia Catholic School, just decommitted from Virginia Tech after Buzz Williams left. There are going to be individuals that pop up. Things happen. Things don't work out for whatever reason. Somebody that a school thinks is a one and done decides to come back, and so they don't have a scholarship. That's sort of how Jeff Capel found his way into the recruiting class that he got a year ago. So I don't want to say it's not possible, but I just think there's so much more talent available right now when you look at junior college players, traditional transfers, and when you have so many scholarships, I think that makes a traditional transfer a lot more attractive because you don't feel the pinch of that player sitting out a year because you've got so many open scholarships as it is. And then graduate transfers are the number 1 way to add talent in college basketball right now.
Yeah, as far as we know the numbers that he could bring in. As far as position goes, as you mentioned earlier, he has guards. They need to get bigs, and I think the 2 guys right now that as far as 2019 kids, Ibrahima Diallo and Olivier Robinson. I think they would take one of those guys because as we've been reporting a lot, they're really in on Kadeem Sy, and
that's a JUCO transfer, a bounce back from Virginia Tech.
Correct.
And it was a 4-star kid coming out of high school.
Yeah, and I think he would be. Out of those 3, I had a couple people asking that through messaging this week. If I had to put odds on those 3 guys and Pitt's chances of landing them, I would go Sy 1, Robinson 2, Diallo 3. From what I'm hearing, Diallo is a heavy lean toward Ohio State right now. Robinson's up in the air. They could have him. He just visited earlier this week. Harry Pizarro's talked to him. Things look to be okay, but he's going to take other visits, and he didn't really give an indication on when he could commit. He kind of just wants to maybe surprise somebody, so who knows how that'll go. But Sy will be here. The big date is next Thursday. He's going to make his official to Pitt, and I think, would you agree they need to get 2 bigs?
Yeah, I think they need at least two more bigs.
And a shooter.
Maybe 3 more bigs. I think they need a 3-point shooter, and I think they need a second point guard because they're losing City and Deer, and I'm not sure. I don't think point guard is Trey McGowan's best position. He can do it, but I think if they got a second point guard that could play some minutes behind Xavier Johnson, just like Endear did this year, I think that frees up McGowan's to do a little bit more of what we saw him doing when he was at his best. And so I think, to me, those are the kind of a backup point guard, a three-point shooter, desperately needed. I think Gerald Drumgoole will help in that regard. He's a pretty good three-point shooter coming in as a freshman, but I think an experienced three-point shooter, somebody that could help out on defense a little bit, would go a long way. And then all the bigs they can get, they need. That was the biggest issue with the team from last year, whether it was rebounding, whether it was post-defense. Their forwards just weren't good enough for them to compete at the level that they need to compete at.
And the other way that they could get the popular thing now is every day, it seems every minute, every second, you're seeing somebody transfer.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah,
it's everywhere.
The grad transfer now, I kind of hate that, but the latest name, Jeff Brazello from Fox Sports, reported this week that Pitt was made contact with the guy from out in California, Max Hazard. He's a three-point shooter. And the other guy that we reported on first, and this would be interesting, it goes along with your lines of the point guard. The only hiccup to that is he wouldn't be eligible this year, is Javon Quinterly from Villanova. He's a guy, he's a freshman now, so he'd have to sit, but he'd get 3 years. So that would be a U scholarship, but it's a guy that you're adding talent. He's a five-star. He was a five-star recruit coming out of New Jersey. Capel recruited him while he was at Duke. He ended up signing with Jay Wright. He played there, and things didn't work out for him. So, but he's a guy that we know that Pitt has reached out to, and he could be the he could be the guy that you're looking at as far as a backup point guard.
Yeah, I think that, obviously he's not a backup point guard for this year.
Right.
But he's more than a backup point guard.
Right.
And he's the guy that's going to push Xavier Johnson for playing time. I think it's one of those things where you look at it and, okay, it doesn't seem like a perfect fit, because I think a guy as talented as Quinterly is probably going to want a place where he has a more obvious path to playing time. But I think, the allure of playing for Jeff Capel, I think what he's done with turning around this team has made it an attractive destination, especially for guards. I think for whatever reason, I think they've found some success. You look at what they did with the 3 freshmen last year. You look at this recruiting class. I think Drumgoole is the best player in this recruiting class. He's a guard. Champagne's a good player. He's a guard. I think for whatever reason, they're getting through to the guards more than they are to the forwards right now. And I think part of it has to do with the way Jeff Capel likes to play. They're going to run up tempo. They're going to let the guards go be themselves. They're going to let them take guys one-on-one. And that's what people want to do. And so I think that's part of it. The forward game is not glamorous for anyone in basketball right now, except for the big guys that can shoot. And, those are the ones that are going to the very, very top teams. They're the hardest thing to find.
One other guy to keep an eye on is, we reported in the Diehards this week, he hasn't officially announced it, but I got it from a pretty good source. A kid out west. He's a starting guard for a Pac-12 team. He's a shooting guard. He's from out east. He averaged double digits this year, but the word around the basketball circles is he's going to leave his current school out west, and we'll wait for him to announce that he's going to transfer before I start throwing out his name. But he's a guy that, from what I hear, Pitt has some contacts at his previous high school, and they're ready to. He's a guy that can shoot from 3 as well, so that could be the attraction there. And look for Pitt to jump on him if they haven't already made informal inquiries about him, because it's a name that's been out there a little bit, so we'll see if we announce that this week. But going from hoops to football, you've been over at the practice facility. They're going to have their second scrimmage third scrimmage tomorrow, and then wrap it up next Saturday with their spring game. What anything stand out to you from what you see over there?
Yeah, I think people are going to really like Mark Whipple's offense. I think he's doing a lot of the things that Pitt fans have been looking for. I think he actually kind of makes Pat Narduzzi uncomfortable sometimes. It's a bit of an interesting dynamic because they're going to throw the ball. They're going to throw the ball deep. but they're also going to work the middle and the short routes as well. But Mark Whipple loves throwing the ball deep. It's going to be a big part of their offense that, honestly, I haven't seen since I've started covering the team. I mean, even when you think about Tyler Boyd in 2015, I mean, he was mostly like a possession type.
Right.
I mean, he was not running 70-yard pass routes. There's going to be deep passes in this offense that haven't been there. It just feels a bit more creative to me than it has in the past from an offensive play calling standpoint. What I've seen, the big takeaway for me is talking to some of the linebackers and some of the safeties. They're like, hey, this is a different offense. This is more like the offenses we see every week in the ACC. It puts pressure on defenses. And if you can do that and still be able to run the ball, that's how you have a really, really, really good offense. I think people are going to be really pleased. I'll be honest, I didn't quite know what to make of that hire when I first saw it. But I think so far from what I've seen, it's going really well.
Two things on this. You see him a lot more than I do. Two-part question, I guess. Throwing deep, that's a good thought to have, but is that going to fit Kenny Pickett's game, number one, and is that his type of is that going to bring out the best in him? And number two, we've been talking about this for years, that Pitt just seemed a little conservative, boring. Is there something that you think what pushed Narduzzi to just what he saw last year? Is there a reason why? Because he's a guy that's very rigid. He doesn't want to change a lot from what he did. Is there something that just got him to say, you know what, I got to do this?
I'm not sure it was one thing. I think part of it is, how do you sell wide receivers and tight ends on your vision for your and quarterbacks, for that matter, on your vision for an offense that doesn't throw the ball? I don't think Pat Narduzzi entered last season wanting to run the ball as much as they did. I think they got to a point where they realized that was all they were good at, and then they went with it because they're trying to win football games.
Right.
I think he wanted more balance than he had last year. He wants a balanced offense. He doesn't want to be one-dimensional. He cares a lot about maintaining time of possession. That's very important to him. You don't have to run the ball to maintain time of possession. In fact, if you can't throw the ball, it makes it hard to sustain. How many times did we see drives last year where it'd be, handoff, two handoffs, incomplete pass, offensive back off the field? I mean, so if you can't throw the ball, it's really hard to put together those long drives. You can do it, but that requires an elite running game.
Right.
And I think it's a lot easier to maintain time of possession with a more balanced passing attack. And that's what Narduzzi really, really wants. And so I think he was looking for more balance. I think, obviously I don't know what went into him hiring Mark Whipple. I don't know about their relationship. They obviously knew each other from their sort of common experiences in Rhode Island. But I think Mark Whipple is a guy that wants to throw the ball probably more than Pat Narduzzi is totally comfortable with. And so I think that's going to be an interesting dynamic. But I think it's a good thing for the team. I think, I'm noticing an enthusiasm from Pitt's receivers and tight ends that was not there last fall.
I saw that.
These guys are excited about this offense, about their role in it. I think it felt like passengers on the team a little bit last year. And I don't think you're going to see that this year. As far as whether Kenny Pickett can execute in that offense, I think every quarterback can throw the ball. At this level, I mean, he's not Tom Brady, he's not Ben Roethlisberger, but I think he can throw the ball where he needs to throw the ball, especially because accuracy on a deep route is not the world's most important thing. Mostly you're going to throw it up there, let your receiver run onto it. I think the big question is, can they pass protect long enough? Kenny Pickett does not have a lightning fast release, and he does not have a super strong arm. So if he's going to throw the ball down the field, he needs that drop to be in rhythm. He needs 1, 2, 3 shoulders on. Everything has to be his mechanics have to stay sound. And when he's under pressure all the time, it's really hard to do that. And so I think that's the biggest thing that's a question mark when it comes to, is Pitt going to be able to throw the ball down the field? Is, can they let Kenny Pickett set up in the pocket and throw the ball in rhythm, keep his mechanics together, and let him deliver that ball, because I'll be honest, their pass blocking was pretty bad last year.
Yeah. And the other question, I guess we'll find out. We don't get to see that much of anything in practice, but
9 plays.
9 plays. Okay.
I've seen 9 plays this spring. Well, that's not counting field goal and punt. I've seen. Okay, sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties here. I think we got them squared away. You were asking me about
the running backs. Yeah. Is it if you had to lay your money right now, who's it going to be? Sibley? 3 choices: Sibley, Davis, or somebody else?
I honestly think it's going to be a. You know, it's actually interesting. You say Davis. So Vincent Davis is one of the freshman running back that's coming in, and Daniel Carter. So there's
right.
2 Carters and 2 Davises in the Pitt backfield in 2019. So gonna have to, I don't know, somebody needs a nickname or something. That's not gonna work. But I think that A.J. Davis and Todd Sibley are both gonna play a lot, and I think Davis is the more likely guy to me to carve out a larger role of the 2. But you know, I expect it to be a 60-40 kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think they're both going to play. I think Todd Sibley is the better pass catcher. I think he's the better blitz pickup guy. I think he's got a little bit more of a refined game. I think Davis is the better athlete, more breakaway speed, just like a straight ahead, one cut and go kind of guy. And I think Malik Carter is a really interesting player out of the backfield. Sure, he can run some jet sweeps. I'm really excited to see what else they can do with him.
Could be a third down guy.
He could be. I actually expect him to be more of a kind of a Swiss Army knife kind of player. More like, the way, Kansas City uses a Tyreek Hill.
Okay, yeah.
You call him a running back, you call him a wide receiver, but I think he's going to be more of a hybrid kind of a player. Where on first and second down they can split him out, they can run him in motion, they can run him with fakes where he pulls linebackers across the formation. So I'm not sure how much of a role he's going to have. He's still very new to the running back position. I'm not sure he's an every down back at this point, but I think he could be a useful player. And I think both of those freshmen are talented enough to get their 4 games and take advantage of them if they get a good opportunity. I mean, they're both very good players. There's a ton of talent in that running back room. More 4-stars there than anywhere else in Pitt's roster. So I don't think the running back is some kind of major concern despite Pitt graduating a couple of 1,000-yard rushers.
Big day for Pitt athletics on Sunday, and that's going to be
You got the color on.
There you go. I got this, but this.
Oh yeah. You're in a clearance rack now, Mike.
Yeah, I know.
That's done.
That's what I can afford. But Sunday, you expect any surprises? What?
Well, I've got some inside info here. I'll divulge. And I can't I don't have pictures. But so there's going to be a Panther logo for the first time since Dino Cat was rendered extinct. And it's a Panther. To me, it's kind of similar looking to FIU's logo, if you're familiar with, or the Florida Panthers logo. Actually,
okay.
The new one.
Right.
That looks more like an actual panther instead of that old jumping guy. But so it's pretty straightforward Panther logo. There's also a new font and a new word mark and some other stuff. But I don't think.
They just can't do something to upset the fan base.
I have a feeling that the football jerseys are not just this year's throwbacks. Like, they are a new uniform in the new colors with a different design. And I'm sure that not everybody's going to love them, but I think they look pretty good.
All right. The other big thing this week, we'll switch sports here, is baseball. You've you and about 5 of your closest friends were there last night. But something I was talking about, and a lot of people were talking about this week, and I haven't talked about with you yet, but Hurdle's decision on the other, whatever day it was, Tuesday, to lift Tyone after 7 scoreless innings. I believe he had, what was it, 70-some pitches, 75, or he was in that ballpark, right?
Yeah, I think it was at 80 or somewhere in there.
Do you, in general, did you have a problem with that?
No.
I didn't.
I think in April, it's cold. These guys have pitched, 100 pitches maybe once this year. And I think a lot of it, I don't think you can make that decision in a vacuum. I don't think it's math. I think it's science. It's not math and science, it's art, right? I don't think you can say like, oh, he's thrown 89 pitches in 7 innings and so he's got to go. Like, I think it depends on the situation. You look at his velocity. You look at how crisp his breaking balls have been. And how did he get through those innings? Is he just smoking guys and putting them away? Or are there some line drives that your guys are grabbing that you're thinking, man, we're kind of lucky those didn't fall? And so I just think it really depends on the situation more than the math of how many, how often, and that kind of thing. And so to me, that is one of the least fruitful things about talking about baseball, second-guessing when the manager takes the starting pitcher out. Maybe he said, yeah, I'm done. We don't know.
Right.
And he's probably not going to say that he said, I'm done, even if he did after the game. So, to me, that's one of those things that, and in general, when you look at the numbers, starting pitchers are bad their third time through the order.
Yeah.
Except for maybe the top 10, 20 pitchers in baseball. Everybody else is pretty bad the third time through the order. So, look, if you get them out before they turn into a pumpkin as a manager, I think you did a good job. I think teams are built for their bullpens to go 4 innings. That they are looking at a game saying, we have to have 4 innings of bullpen with the lead. And I think the Pirates are one of those teams with Vasquez, Kella, Crick, Rodriguez, and a couple other guys that they like. Birdie, they took a chance on Liriano. They've got some length with Kingham. And Broad, I think they feel all right with a lead going to the bullpen after 5, let alone 7. So, yeah, if you get your starting pitcher out and he's given up 3 runs or fewer, and you got 5, 6, 7 innings out of him, I think any manager in baseball would take that right now.
My thought on that was I was actually as that was happening, I was on the phone with our friend Paul Zeiss, and they hit I believe they hit a home run, or they cut it to 1.
Tyone gave up a solo home run. It was a terrible pitch too.
Yeah.
One that he started the head down before it got hit. One of those deals.
Right. I thought that if they had a lead bigger than they had, one more before he gave that, I would have let him start. Once it got down to where they were, I just said. And the other factor is, I don't have the exact number, but I know it has to be a ridiculous number. The last 2 years, when the Pirates have a lead going to the 8th inning, they couldn't have lost more than 5-10 games, right?
Vasquez hasn't blown that many saves.
They're back into their bullpen, despite what happened that day, is the strength of their team.
Yeah, I think pitching is the strength of the team, for sure.
Especially the back end of the bullpen. So I'm going to do that 99 out of 100 times. I'm going to feel confident knowing that I got Kella and Vasquez back there, and good luck trying to get a run off of them.
And I'll make another point here. The Pirates they've had 5 games this year, and 4 of those 5 games they went into the 7th inning or went into the bullpen with a 1 or 2 run lead.
I would have bet they'd be 5-0.
But if you got to go into the 7th inning with a 1 or 2 run lead, what's 4/5 of 162? You got to blow out some teams along the way. Right. There's opportunities for them to score more runs, and and then you can go to the soft parts of the bullpen. Or it doesn't matter. Tywin gives up a home run in the 7th inning when they're winning 6-0.
Yeah, then you have a 5-run lead still.
Let them keep going, right? But then all of a sudden it's a 3-0 lead. Now it's 3-1. Then also, okay, you can't screw up again, or we're going to lose this game.
That's the part that got overlooked, is the fact that how many times during the game they had either bases loaded or guys in scoring position, and they had a chance to blow open that game in 2 of those games, and they weren't able to. And that's the thing this year now that people talked about, and it's become more under a microscope, is the scoring runs. And you agreed that part went completely overlooked because of what happened. And now with the current situation in the outfield, it's not going to be easier to score runs.
No, and their defense hasn't been great, and it's not going to be better.
Right.
So, I think, look, if you want to put blame anywhere for the Pirates, start anywhere but the starting pitchers, to me. Everybody else should own some of it. I think the starting pitchers have done their job for the most part.
How do you think, who knows what's going to happen? Jason Martin reportedly is going to get called up. I don't know that Hurdle's going to, throw a rookie in there, but depending on how long, I haven't heard an exact number. I wasn't paying that much attention to it yesterday. I don't know what the word is on Dickerson and how long he's going to be out, but, that
seems like it's at least 10 days.
At least, not longer than that?
Indefinitely.
Right.
So, and at least 10 days.
Yeah, that's tough. You got him, you got Polanco, you got Chisenhall. Guys that you expected. Listen, I don't know how he's going to
any team in baseball loses 3 guys at the same position. Right. Things start to you can. Most teams can absorb some injuries. 3 at one spot is tough for anybody. Yeah. It's really tough for the Pirates.
Right? How do you expect? What's Hurdle going to do to mix and match? Just is Cabrera going to get more?
Well, I think Melky Cabrera is going to be a starter.
Right.
I think that's one of the spots for sure. And I think the other thing that's going to happen with the other spot is that JB Shuck and probably to a lesser extent Pablo Reyes are going to get a chance. The thing to me with Reyes is that I don't see the offensive upside. No. And he's not a natural outfielder, so he's going to make mistakes. He bobbled a ball in right field in the 9th inning last night, gave up
a base.
Two important bases. And so to me, there's no upside. There's not that much upside to Reyes. He can play out there if you need him to, but he's not going to hit that much, and he's not going to be that good on defensively. I think Shuck is a good enough defender that he can play the outfield. There's no question about that. If he can hit, he's probably the best option.
I saw something you put out on Twitter yesterday, and what about Gung?
I like the idea.
Yeah, right.
They were Kevin Newman and Colin Moran.
Ran our rights
yesterday. Listen, I think when you look at it, no one they put out there is going to have really good defense.
Mm-hmm. Give me the bat.
Maybe Martin would have good outfield defense. Give me the bat.
Yeah.
I think Colin Moran is their best hitting bench player. And so, he's comfortable at third base. So Gung's a good athlete. I think he could do it. People are telling me Josh Bell. I think if you give me one 9th inning, the guy's gonna hit the ball to right field. You got to make the catch. Who you want out there, Bell or Gung? Give me Gung.
I'd rather have I'd have a pitcher out there.
I think
I'm serious.
I think
John
Gung's a good athlete. He doesn't have the range really to play shortstop. His knee's messed up from the Chris Coughlin slide. Still, he's not comfortable playing second. But I think he can go cover some ground in the outfield. He's got a great arm. I don't know. Try it. Here's what do they have to lose?
Right.
He kicks the ball around. Well, so are the guys they're putting out there anyway. He can at least. We're pretty sure he can hit a little bit.
One good thing that we've also seen with the Pirates this week is actually since the start of the season, I guess that was this week, is the starting pitching. Every one of them, and last night Lyons even surprised everyone. But one issue, and I wanted to bring up, you see this more than most people because you're there and you watch all the games. Chris Archer's pitch count, and that always sort of reminds me of Kip Wells years ago, where he always had good stuff, but he had to be out by 4 or 5 innings just because he just gave up so many pitches. what do you see since he's been here as far as Chris Archer, as far as it seems as though every one of his starts, by the time you get to the 4th or 5th inning, he's pushing 80, 90 pitches. Is he just throwing what's the do you know a reasoning, or do you suspect on a reasoning for that?
Yeah, I think one of the things that the Pirates wanted to change with him was that they wanted to emphasize the breaking pitches a little bit. And I think that comes with more balls, comes with more foul balls, which, it's not a pitch to contact strategy. It's a pitch around contact strategy, and that's going to require more pitches. And I think the Pirates are, would they like Chris Archer to suddenly become efficient? Sure. I think they're okay with him the way he is, though. I think they're okay with getting 5 or 6 innings out of him, and if they're good 5 or 6 innings, they'll take that. I don't see it as some sort of emergency that he can't throw a complete game. And I'll be honest, Clint Hurdle talks about this all the time. It's one of his favorite kind of talking points. But everybody always wants more, right? Here's what you got. Oh, well, if we only had this, or if you could only do, look, if Chris Archer could throw complete games with 12 strikeouts, the Pirates wouldn't have him.
Right, yeah.
he wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
He was capable of being this idealized version of himself. He'd be on a $150 million contract with the Yankees. So, I don't know, he's a good pitcher. He's one of the Pirates' better pitchers. The way he is, if he could get better, that'd be great. I don't think it's some sort of imperative.
And we want to just mention again that
the bar is looking nice back there. I gotta say, what time? It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
We're going to be here. Just a couple. I guess promos would be the night of the draft.
First round of the NFL draft.
First round of the NFL draft. We're going to be here for Steeler talk for an hour, leading up until the draft. So we encourage you to stop on by. We'll promote that a little bit more. And then once the Penguins schedule comes out, we do monthly Pittsburgh Sports Now meetups with the readers. We just haven't settled on a date yet because we're trying to coordinate it with whenever the Penguins are going to have an away game. And maybe we can get some of Dan Kingerski's followers
we'll have
and
a
viewers.
Crossover episode.
We'll have a crossover with Pittsburgh Hockey Now and Pittsburgh Sports Now, so that we could fill up the place here at Walnut Grill. And we appreciate their partnership with us over the next few months.
All right, what else we got? We talked about the what's the TV? Somebody asked me on Twitter what to watch for in the Pitt spring game. So I want to bounce back to that real quick. Just two things I want to watch for, and I'll ask you what you want to watch for. I want to know who the other starting quarterback is going to be. I think it's going to be Nick Patty. I think he's played his way into that role this spring. I think he's passed Jeff George. And I think that's a good thing because I think he's pretty clearly the next best option besides Kenny Pickett. If the Panthers have to or decide they want to go a different direction at quarterback come to the season. Now, I don't think there's any question that Kenny Pickett's going to be the starter week 1, but I think Nick Patty is a guy that doesn't get talked about enough in this town. He's a talented quarterback. He's a big frame, a good arm, and I think he could do some good things given an opportunity. The other thing I want to see is I want to see how good this defense can be because I think it can be really good. Really good.
Yeah.
What do you want to see?
I want to see Paris Ford. I know he's the talking point. He's the name that everyone's talking about. Has been talking about since he signed, but we don't know what's going on behind closed doors right now. But from all indications, everything we're seeing, even some of the videos Pitt sends out, some of the things he's tweeting out, the expectations he has for himself, some of the things coaches are saying, you just have to wonder if this is, if the light bulb has come on with him. And last year, it went through whatever he had to go through, learned from watching, got himself ready on and off the field. And if this is going to be his year to, become the player that people were expecting and all the expectations for him. He's unquestionably Pitt's highest recruit that they've gotten in the last few years. The question now is he finally going to live up to that expectation?
I'm not sure he's going to start this year, but I think he'll get an opportunity to play and make an impact on defense. Maybe in the sub-package role. I could see him. Remember when Dennis Briggs was a younger player? He played that sort of, they call it a delta safety linebacker hybrid that comes in on third down. I think that'd be a good spot for him. I think he could do a little pass rushing, kind of freelance a little bit. But we'll see. I think Jazzy Stalker's had a heck of a spring. I think he's doing a lot to lock down the other safety spot next to DeMar Hamlin. So it's a tough battle.
But I agree with what you're saying, but you would just think if assuming the talent and everything's right and he wasn't overhyped, you would just think that unless he's completely not ready, that Narduzzi wants to get him on the field. The upside with him, Jazzy Stalker's been around the program for a few years. You know what you have in him. Ford's kind of the unknown as far as if he hits his potential. He's like I said, he
is, but safety is the position.
I think it would be disappointing if he's not getting a lot of playing time this year.
Safety is the position where unknown is scary for a head coach. That's the guy that sets your whole defense. He can't be wrong ever. If he's wrong, you've got 11 guys that are wrong. And that's how you get beat. That's how you lose football games. And that's why I think they're going to bring him along a little bit more slowly, get his feet wet. He didn't play the position last year. Frankly, I think that was a mistake. I think he needed to stay at safety. I'm not sure he would have played much last year anyway, but I just think
getting reps.
All the practice reps add up after time. I mean, how many times have we seen players look at a guy like Connor Gentino last year who barely played his whole first 4 years, and then as a redshirt senior, finally gets to start now. He did really well. I think those practice reps do add up whether or not you play, and I think that year being at corner, there's some positives I guess you can take from it, but I think that it hurt him a little bit not being at the safety spot where I think it was always pretty clear he was going to end up.
One other position I wanted to ask you about is because they, like running back, they graduated a lot of senior talent, and that's linebacker. Do you see I saw one of the positions, there's a few people mixing in, but is it Chase Pine, and then where's his spot even guaranteed?
No, I don't think anybody's spot is guaranteed right now. I think the guy whose spot is the safest is Cam Bright at the star spot, just because I think he's clearly the best athlete of all of the linebackers, and I think he's one of the best three. And so if he's playing, he's going to play the star, and I think he's going to play. Then it gets interesting because Salim Brightwell can play Money and Mike. Chase Pine can play Money and Mike. And then you have Elias Reynolds, and you have Phil Campbell who can play star and Money. And so I think those other, how many guys I named? 5 guys are going to mix and match and fight and battle, and I don't know where they're going to end up. I think right now they've got Brightwell and Reynolds at Mike, and Pine and Campbell at Money, kind of battling with each other. And then Wendell Davis is a redshirt freshman that they really, really like. And
he mentioned,
would be totally fine with him playing, but I think the older guys above him are going to make that tough. But, I mean, they like him a lot, and if he had to play, they'd be okay with it.
All right, well.
What do we got left? Anything else on the list?
No, looking for Tori. Is Tori back there? We wanted to have the general manager on. Do we see her?
You need to go take a trip. I can freelance here for 2 minutes. Let's see. Did I get any other questions here on Twitter? We can talk about Pirates attendance. There was like maybe 5,000 people at the ballpark last night. Announced attendance 8,500, the 5th lowest attended baseball game in PNC Park history. And I mean, I tweeted the picture. It looks embarrassing for the Pirates, but you know, it's something that happens a lot. Go through my Twitter feed from last night if you don't believe me. So, we're Tori with manager of Walnut Grill here, Sellers Ridge Robinson. Thank you for having us. We appreciate it, and we appreciate your partnership. What do you guys got going on here? What's exciting at the restaurant right now?
We got a lot of new things going on. We're offering a new later night happy hour on the weekend, so Friday and Saturday. So now we have 7 days a week happy hour, then plus 2, 9:30 to 10:45 every Friday and Saturday. So it just gives our guests a little more opportunity on our happy hour.
Is this an exciting time for a business owner with a bar? You got March Madness, you got the Penguins playoffs coming up, the NFL draft, all kinds of those big events that get people out. And
it definitely is. You know, we love to see people coming in, and they're excited to watch the sports on television. So it's good for our guests to have a great environment.
This is my first time at this location. It's awesome. You're right here off the Parkway. I come from the other side of the city, and I was just yep, here I am. And a beautiful restaurant. We really appreciate you having us, and appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna slide back in here. I think it's time for us to eat, Alan. What do you think? What are we looking at here?
I don't know.
I'm thinking I'm looking at some crab cakes.
Oh, that sounds all right.
Yeah, I think we're doing some walnut.
Some loaded tater tots. It sounds more like my thing. All right, let's let these people go.
All right. Well, we appreciate it, and like I said, we will be back here at Walnut Grill before the NFL draft. Just a matter of when the playoffs get announced, and we'll do our best to let you know about it, and hopefully we can meet you in person. Last time we did that last month with our first meet and greet. We had a nice turnout of Pitt fans, loyal Pitt fans, and we hope that increases by the month. We're going to be doing this throughout the summer here, and we hope you could stop down. And even if you don't stop down for one of the meetups, stop down here. As like I said, it's an easy location from the city.
All right, we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Alan Saunders, Mike Vukovcan, Pittsburgh Sports Live.